Here are the top stories of the news. Kano State Governor Abba Yusuf vows to reclaim mandate at Supreme Court after Appeal Court upheld his sacking. NBA condemns suspension of Osun State Chief Judge FEMI Ojo. On the foreign scene, Israeli army denies ordering evacuation of Al-Shifa Hospital for hospital's officials reject claim. And good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. I am FEMI Ojo. We begin in Kano, where the state governor Abba Yusuf, whose sacking by the Electoral Tribunal was upheld by the Court of Appeal on Friday, has vowed to reclaim his mandate at the Supreme Court. The appeal court sitting in Abuja upheld the ruling of the tribunal that sacked Mr. Yusuf and declared Nasiru Gawuna of the All Progressives Congress the winner of the March 18 election. In a broadcast on Friday night, Governor Yusuf said he had instructed his legal team to challenge the appeal court ruling at the Supreme Court. He said he has consulted with stakeholders and they have resolved that his lawyers should challenge the appeal court judgment at the Supreme Court. He noted that he believes and have the confidence that the Supreme Court will reclaim the mandate of the Kano people who voted for him. He urged the people to continue to go about their lawful activities as security agents have been directed to ensure law and order prevail in the state. In the meantime, former President Goodluck Jonathan has hailed Governor Doyediri's effort at tackling insecurity, saying the Bayelsa leader's re-election means the state would be a lot safer. Jonathan, who is a former governor of the Oil-rich state, spoke on Friday when he visited Diri in Yenagua, the state capital, almost 1 week after the governor's re-election victory. While congratulating Diri for winning the exercise, the former president said if the governor had lost, the gains made in Kobe insecurity would have been lost. He called on the people of the state, irrespective of party affiliations, to accept the governor's victory and work with the governor in order to move the state ahead. While recounting how his cousin was kidnapped and killed, the former president expressed optimism that with Diri returning as governor of the state, the situation would be a thing of the past. And moving on, the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, on Friday received a certificate of return in Owerri, the state capital, following last Saturday's governorship election. In his speech, the governor congratulated the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) for what he referred to as the freest, fairest, and most peaceful election in the history of Imo State. The state returning officer and vice chancellor of the Federal University, Oye-Ekiti, Professor Abayomi Fashino, declared Governor Uzodinma re-elected on Sunday morning. He swept all the 27 local government areas in the state, defeating Samuel Anyanwu of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), Nneji Achonu of the Labour Party, and 15 other opponents. The APC candidate polled 540,308 votes to defeat his closest rivals, PDP's Anyanwu, who scored 71,503 votes, and LP's Achonu, who got 64,081 votes.
Services to the people of Imo State. My appeal is that we should put the interests of the state and her people above our personal consideration. There is still time for everybody. I am committed to an inclusive government where the interests of every Imo man and woman will be accommodated. My desire is to leave a legacy of a tradition of rancor-free politics that guarantees all zones a realistic entitlement to the governorship of the state. Finally, I once again extend an olive branch to all aggrieved persons and groups and invite them to join hands with me to work to grow our state and make the state the envy of other states. And Almighty God, who sees our heart, continue to protect and guide us, and make him Muslim a prosperous state.
Similarly, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has presented a certificate of return to the governor-elect of Kogi State, Usman Ododo, and his running mate in the election, Joel Salifo. The certificate of return were presented at the INEC headquarters in Lokoja, the state capital, on Friday. Speaking shortly after receiving his certificate, the governor-elect assured the people that he would make good his campaign promise to build on the sterling achievement of Governor Yahaya Bello while preserving the unity of the state. Mr. Ododo of the All Progressives Congress (APC) had won the November 11 off-season governorship election in Kogi State with a wide margin, having polled 446,237 votes to defeat Murtala Jaka of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, and Dino Melaye, candidate of the People's Democratic Party, who came second and third. To security matters, the Defense Headquarters says the military has continued to target the leadership and chains of command of the terrorists, insurgents, and extremist groups undermining the security of the country. The Director, Defense Media Operations Major General Edward Buba, made this known in a statement in Abuja on Friday. General Buba said the ongoing counterinsurgency and counter-terrorism operations across the country yielded encouraging results. It disclosed that the operations of the last week had resulted in the elimination of no fewer than 50 terrorists and the arrest of 122 of them in different operations across the country. He added that the troops recovered 66 assorted weapons and 11,477 assorted ammunition, comprising 1 Conqueror APC, 1 GPMG, 1 NSVT gun, 1 GT3 rifle, 25 AK-47 rifles, 4 pump-action guns, and 2 locally made AK-47 rifles. And here in Osun, the Nigerian Bar Association has condemned the suspension of the Chief Judge of Osun State, FEMI Ojo, by the state government. The State House of Assembly, during Thursday's plenary, ordered that Justice Ojo should step aside pending the outcome of the investigation against her. Approving the resolution of the Assembly, State Governor Demola Adeleke appointed Justice Olayinka Afolabi as the acting Chief Judge. Mrs. Ojo's suspension was, however, in defiance of an order of the National Industrial Court sitting in Ibadan, which restrained the governor from removing her. Condemning the action of the government, the NBA, in a statement on Friday by its National Publicity Secretary, Akorede Lawal, said her removal was unlawful. It described the action of the governor and state lawmakers as an unwarranted assault on the judiciary, which was aimed at intimidating the arm of government in the state. Citing the case between Nganjiwa and the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he said a chief judge cannot be removed without the involvement of the National Judicial Council. And elsewhere, President Bola Tinubu will on Saturday depart Abuja for Berlin, Germany, to attend the G20 Compact with Africa Conference CWA on November 20, 2023, hosted by German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. In a statement about the President's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngalali, the G20 CWA conference will be taking place alongside the 4th G20 Investment Summit, co-hosted by the German government and German business associations. During the conference, President Tinubu will join other heads of state and government of CWA member countries, bilateral partners, as well as heads of international organizations to deliberate on the immediate enhancement of economic and business cooperation to outline concrete measures to boost investment in critical areas such as energy, trade, infrastructure, and new technologies. Ngalali noted that the president will sustain his momentum in advancing the calls for foreign direct investment in Nigeria as he leads the country's delegation to participate in the investment summit. You're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. We'll be right back after this break. Please stay with us.
we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Ever expounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission. Even diffusion. Vast and fast. Detailed facts are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
You're welcome back. And now talking business. There are indications that the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria will further hike its interest rate by 100 basis points this week. The MPC is expected to meet on the 20th and 21st of November after failing to have its September policy meeting following the appointment of the new CBN governor, Olayemi Cardoso. Since the last MPC meeting in July, the monetary policy space has changed rapidly, given some orthodoxy introduced by the CBN, particularly since the beginning of October. A report published by Codrus Capital on Friday hinted that further rate hikes by the MPC will send a strong message that the Apex Bank is not relenting in its inflation fight, particularly as near-term inflation expectations are tilted to the upside, potentially reaching a 28.02% year-on-year peak in December. SpaceX's next-generation spacecraft Starship, developed to carry astronauts to the moon and beyond, is set for blast-off today for a repeat test launch from South Texas 7 months after its first attempt to reach space ended with an explosion. The uncrewed launch was scheduled to take place during a 20-minute window beginning at 7 a.m. local time at SpaceX's Starbase site on the Gulf of Mexico near Boca Chica. Starship is mounted atop a towering Super Heavy rocket booster in what will be the second attempted flight of both vehicles together. The mission's objective is to get Starship off the ground in Texas and into space just shy of reaching orbit, then plunge through Earth's atmosphere for a splashdown off Hawaii's coast. The launch had been scheduled for Friday but was pushed back by a day for a last-minute swap of flight control hardware. Still in business, the board of the company behind ChatGPT on Friday fired OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, who many see as the human face of generative artificial intelligence. The company said OpenAI's Chief Technology Officer Mira Murati will serve as interim CEO, adding that it will conduct a formal search for a permanent CEO. OpenAI said Mr. Altman's departure follows a deliberative review process by the board, which concluded that he was not consistently candid in his communications with the board, hindering its ability to exercise its responsibility. Greg Brockman, OpenAI president and co-founder who stepped down from the board as chairman as part of the management shuffle, quit the company after the sacking of Altman. The sacking of Mr. Altman sent shockwaves across the technology industry. On the foreign scene, the Israeli army has denied that it ordered patients and medical staff to evacuate Al-Shifa hospital, but the hospital's officials have reiterated that Israeli forces gave staff and patients at Al-Shifa the order to evacuate this morning within 1 hour. The Israeli military in a statement said at no point did it ask the hospital to evacuate patients or medical teams, claiming instead that it responded to the request of the director of the hospital to allow those sheltering the medical facility and all wished to evacuate to leave through a secure access. The army even suggested that whenever there is a request to coordinate a medical evacuation, to work to facilitate it and transfer the patients to other hospitals. The statement was in stark contrast to accounts provided to Al Jazeera by the hospital supervisor and health official and a doctor that said they received a 1-hour deadline for evacuation and were forced to leave. A director at the hospital, Mohammed Zakut, said despite the difficult situation, medical staff were still working and operating, noting that they were forced to leave at gunpoint. Turning to the Russian-Ukraine conflict, Russia launched a major drone attack on Ukraine overnight, hitting infrastructure facilities in the south and north of the country. The Ukrainian Military Air Force confirmed the attack this morning, noting that its air defense shot down 29 out of 38 Iranian-made Shahed drones launched from Russian territory. The Air Force in a statement said the attack on many Ukrainian regions lasted from 8 p.m. local time on Friday to 4 a.m. on Saturday. The South Military Command said an energy infrastructure facility was hit in the southern Odessa region, while an administrative building was also damaged and one civilian was wounded in the strike. The military said the drones also targeted Kiev in the second attack so far this month, but noted that all drones heading to the capital were shot down in the approach. And here in Africa, Liberian leader and football legend George Weah has conceded defeat to opposition leader Joseph Boakai after a tight presidential runoff, saying it was time to put national interest above personal interest. With more than 99.5% of the polling stations reporting vote tallies after Tuesday's second-round vote, Boakai had garnered 50.89% of ballots cast, according to the Election Commission. According to the figures, former Vice President Boakai was 28,000 votes ahead of Weah after the two finished neck-and-neck in the first round last month, with the national lead of just 7,126 votes for Weah. Mr. Weah, in a speech on national radio late on Friday, said the results announced so far, though not final, indicate that Boakai is in a lead that he cannot surpass. He said his CDC party has lost the election, but Liberia has won, adding that this was the time for graciousness in defeat. The 78-year-old Boakai lost to Weah 57 by a large margin in the second-round presidential vote in 2017. And on the sports scene, Victor Osimhen has made the final list for the 2023 CAF Best Player Award as the African Football Governing Body announced a shortlist for the men's categories for the award. Napoli forward, who is in the overwhelming favorite, is the only Nigeria to make the cut and will be aiming to cap off an impressive year in which he won the Italian Scudetto and top scorer gong in the league. A few weeks ago, Osimhen finished 8th in the 2023 Ballon d'Or Awards held in the French city of Paris. Apart from the Nigerian, all the top players who made the final 10 nominees for the CAF Award include holder and Senegalese forward Sadio Mane, Riyad Mahrez of Algeria, and Akraf Hakimi of Morocco, among others. The awards gala is billed for Monday, 11th of December 2023 in Marrakesh, Morocco. And manager Gareth Southgate has said his England side are not where they need to be after Friday's 2-0 win over Malta, but refused to criticize the players because of the grueling schedule. Enrico Pepe's own goal and Harry Kane's 62nd strike gave the Three Lions victory in the Euro 2024 qualifier. Southgate's team, who had already qualified for next summer's tournament, produced an underwhelming performance. Southgate, speaking after the game, said that they didn't hit the highs they have done this calendar year. He noted that if they don't start games well, it's very difficult to pick it up, which they didn't, adding that they know the level they have got to be, and they have to be better. England have won 6 of their 7 games to top Group C, but were lackluster against a Malta side that has lost all 8 qualifiers.
No, it's not a worry because I think sometimes when players have so many matches, they almost self-regulate. I've been a player. You know that there's a certain level you need to hit to beat Italy here. And you know that you don't have to hit that level to win today's game. And although you would think that everybody would be at the same level all the time, that's not the reality of football. So I've played in those matches myself, and there are nights where subconsciously you just do enough to win. And I think that's a little bit where we were tonight. We know not the level we would want to be at. We know not the level that we need to be at. But equally, this group of players have been exceptional. And I'm not going to start getting into their ribs too much about a performance like tonight. It's we made a few changes. We didn't hit the levels we'd like to have, but they managed to win the game, and not in the style we'd have liked for the supporters. But in the end, we've won comfortably, as we should.
Before we end the news, here is a recap of our top stories. The Kano State Governor, Abba Yusuf, whose sacking by the Electoral Tribunal was upheld by the Court of Appeal on Friday, has vowed to reclaim his mandate at the Supreme Court. The Nigerian Bar Association has condemned the suspension of the Chief Judge of Osun State, Bola FEMI Ojo, by the state government. On the foreign scene, the Israeli army has denied that it ordered patients and medical staff to evacuate Al-Shifa Hospital. The hospital's officials have reiterated that Israeli forces gave staff and patients at Al-Shifa the order to evacuate this morning within 1 hour. You can follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Western Spring Television, and you can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. And that ends the Spring News at 12. I am FEMI Ojo. Thank you for watching. Good afternoon.